What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in. It is the Sunday episode of the Juice Box Heroes podcast. I'm one of your hosts, PK. As always, the Dubon Fan Club president, Chris Moreno, is with us. Sweet Bee Bones Bryles is with us. This is going to be our finale of our four-part series. Tonight, we're going to get into the infield and how that looked at the end of the season, maybe some questions going into the next season. But before we get into that, fellas, how was y'all's weekend?
Well, I mean, it started as an epically baseball related weekend. Mother Nature said, cool story. We're not going to do that. So actually, it was a very nice and quiet weekend. So we just went out to the pumpkin patch out in Katy today and got back. And yeah, what was supposed to be a crazy weekend turned into a nice and quiet, relaxing weekend. I can't complain. Browse, I know you, someone had a birthday today. Happy birthday. And how did you spend your weekend?
Thank you, Chris. We had a great weekend too. It was other than the weather, then it was pretty good. Got to go play some top golf today for my birthday with the family. That was a whole lot of fun. But other than that, it was kind of business as usual, to be honest with you. So great weekend. And PK, how was yours?
It was good. It was good. Happy birthday, Bryles.
Thank you, buddy.
It was good. Watch the Longhorns, take a few years off my life on Saturday.
Oh, why didn't I bring that up?
And then, today got to watch the Texans, decide they wanted to show and play some offense. So other than that, man, we went to church today. It was good. It was a good weekend. Good weekend. But let's get in. Chris, I did have a question though. How many pumpkin patches did you pass on the way to Katie's pumpkin patch?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really didn't pay attention, mainly because I was dreading that hour and 15-minute drive out there. And then, then we tried to leave, and then they shut the entire place down because a parent lost their kid. So we sat in the parking lot for another 15 minutes, and
sweet.
Then it was a nice little hour and 20-minute drive home. So at that point, I was just ready to get home.
But you got pictures,
long day.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. The kids had a good time.
That's all that matters, man.
The baseball bag this weekend, but I did not lose a kid. So I can say that.
There you go.
Winning. Bryles was winning. He was winning. Look, let's get into this, man. So we've done three parts already. We're in our fourth part. So I don't know if you want to say we saved the best for last. I feel like there's a lot more to talk about with the infield. Potential stuff that we're probably not going to go too deep into, given that we still have 3 full months of off-season baseball for the Astros. So, but we'll touch on a little bit of it. So let's get into this thing, man. Infield. We'll start with the trade. I'll start with the trade, the fact of Correa, right, coming back to Houston. And so, look, aside from the fact that Dana Brown completely, what do the kids say, fleeced? They say fleeced? Fleeced the Twins? Is that sure. Proper? Because, look, we talked about a couple weeks ago, like the Twins already released the 26-year-old single-A ball player that we sent over there, right? So you really didn't give up anything. So, look, you got Correa at third, Pena at short, some combination of Altuve and Dubon at second. And so now you have Paredes back healthy, right? He's going to come back healthy, but you also have Walker at first that you're paying $20 million a year, right? To play over there. So there's a lot of questions going on, especially on that right side corner. I did a poll. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I want to hear y'all's first take, on the infield. Like, let me hear your take on the infield before we get a little bit deeper into each kind of position.
All right, bros, you want to go ahead and take it?
Yeah, I could take this. To be honest with you, I could take this for like an hour by myself. But I'm going to try to keep this a little short and to the point. So I think Dana Brown's move to bring Correa back was fantastic. I think I really, really like him at third base more than anything else. Correa's already even said that at one point in his career, he wanted to go back to third, or he wanted to transition to third base, like a lot of these all-star and Hall of Fame shortstops have done in their career. So that was perfect. And then Jeremy Pena has been absolutely fantastic at short, so there's no reason to move him around anywhere. For second base, we've talked about this a million times. You put Altuve there, you leave him there, and stop trying to like tinker around and figure out like, oh, I don't know, maybe Dubon should be here, or maybe Brendan Rodgers should be here, or maybe we should try to go find somebody else, or maybe do this. I don't agree with that. It's you leave Altuve there. At this point in his career, he is much better suited to play second base than he is any other position on this team. And you don't want to get rid of his offense, obviously. So what are you doing? Just leave him there. So now we're going to move over to first base real quick. You know, Christian Walker had a down year. I think we can all agree on that. He had ups, he had downs. I've watched Christian Walker for a long time, also being a pseudo Arizona Diamondbacks fan as well. But it's the biggest problem with him is he is so streaky that it's hard to trust him at first base. The one thing that he did that made up for the streaky hitting at the plate, though, was the fact that he actually was a Gold Glover at first base. This year, he was not a Gold Glover at first base. And I mean, and I'm not saying like that's the expectation every year, but his defense was not good. So was it, you know, Abreu bad? No. Was it any of the other first basemen that we have tried out basically since Yuli left? No. But at the same time, you know, it's if you're not going to be a top tier hitting first baseman, your defense damn well better make up for it, and it didn't. That was the biggest problem. So that was the way I saw, you know, basically our entire infield for the season. I've got some more notes on that, but I'm going to pass it over to Chris.
Yeah, I mean, so out of nowhere, our infield became one of our deepest positions on the team. Leading up to, I mean, what probably the main reason why you made that trade for Correa was the fact that Isaac Paredes got hurt. And Isaac Paredes was kind of like that stalwart in the lineup as far as you knew he was going to work the count. So, and then when he went down, I think everyone kind of like was like, well, what are we going to do? I mean, because we saw Brendan Rodgers, you know, play, and he was less than impressive. You had Zach Short. He's already filed for free agency, so he's gone. You also had, you know, Bryce Matthews come up, and Bryce Matthews had games where he looked fantastic. He's had games where he looked like he was a rookie. I mean, so you are very deep now in the infield. I mean, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We all had higher expectations for Christian Walker. He did not live up to those expectations, in my opinion, in his first year as an Astro. But I don't think anybody. I think everybody's willing to give him the pass just because of what we had at first base last season. So, I mean, Christian Walker still led the team in RBIs, home runs. I mean, so I just think that like you're going to have to make a decision here pretty soon, and like you're going to have an odd man out. I would assume that Bryce Matthews will probably start the season and down in Sugarland. But you've got one extra infielder because we haven't even talked about my favorite player of all time, Mauricio Dubon. I mean, he's basically that Swiss Army knife that I feel like I felt like Dubon. I felt like he played too much. You know what I'm saying? Like I think he really excelled in that Swiss Army knife. You know, play maybe once every 3 or 4 games, comes in. But like, I mean, of course, the injuries forced him to have to almost be an everyday player. So. Yeah, I mean, not to get too in depth. I mean, but yeah, I mean, we Dana Brown in the Astros organization definitely has a decision to make coming up here soon with the infield. So, PK, you said you had a poll. What was your poll, PK?
Yeah, so I did a poll. I did it on what's today? Today's 26. I did it on Friday, and basically it was just a 2-part answer. Right? It was which one of these players is going to be at first for the 26th season. Okay. And it was obviously Walker or Paredes. Walker had 37% of the vote and Paredes had 63% of the vote. So, and that was out on the X World, you know. I think there's been a little bit, I guess, of definitely not confirming talk about like you could move Walker and put Paredes at first. I just don't see a spot where like Paredes is going to play third unless Correa, has a day off or something like that. The DH role is pretty much lined up with Jordan. Jordan is going to get, some run out in left field, but he's not going to be right. He shouldn't be an everyday left fielder. So look, I just pulled up Walker's stats for last year, and when we signed him, we talked about, or at least I did. I think he had like the last 3 seasons was 25 plus home runs, like consecutive, right? And we talked about that those kind of numbers from a power position at first base, right? And the dude hit 27 bombs, 88 ribs. He struck out 177 times, right? His average was 238. And to go back to Bryle's point about the streakiness that we saw, the hot streaks that we would see would come at points that, like, we needed him to be hotter at the times when he was bad, and vice versa, right? Like that seemed to be the problem, is that when he would get hot, or
it would be game 3 against the Angels,
right? Exactly. Or you can even go into individual games where he'd come up in the second, fourth inning, 2 on, bases loaded, 1 on, didn't matter, right? And with 1 out, 2 out, and he's either getting out or he's in the inning. But yet, if he leads off an inning, right, he gets the base hit up the middle or whatever. And it's like, cool, great to start the inning off with that hit, but like, we needed you to come through the last at bat when you had runners in scoring position with 1 or 2 outs, right? And it seemed like that was a lot. It seemed like that was happening more often than not. The strikeouts were a huge issue. Now, Bryles, you've watched them more than we have. I mean, you were, pseudo, Arizona fan. I mean, with the strikeout, I'm assuming the strikeouts are always fairly high on him.
Yes, absolutely.
So it just, I think when you look at the season as a whole offensively, when you didn't have the consistency offensively as a team, you went and made this big move to bring in this guy to replace Abreu, who we watched this guy to, be diminished right in front of our eyes, right? We expected, I think Walker to, produce a lot more, especially in certain situations, right? The dude still hit 27 bombs, right? He still went, he still drove in 88 runs, right? And so you look at it as a whole, like we're trying to do now, it's like he still had a good offensive season. But then if you're like us, or like many of y'all that watch the Astros and you watch them daily, right? It's, dude, feel free to get a hit with runners in score position. It's cool. It's okay. It's like a good thing. We would like that, so the Paredes comparison, if you're comparing the Paredes and Walker, what I love about Paredes from day one was that on a team that is nothing but free swingers, Paredes, like Chris said, will go up there and work counts. When these starting pitchers are pitching 7 pitches in an inning, right? If Paredes is part of that inning, he's going to get 7 to 8, 9, 10 pitch at bats. And we always talk about getting that pitch count up with a starter so we can get to the bullpen. I don't know. I think I feel more comfortable with Paredes in the lineup over Walker. That would be my take. I've never seen Paredes play first, so I don't know. I don't know how he would do it first, how that move would be. So curious to see what you guys think on that one.
Well, first of all, I believe he played first base for the Rays. So I think he played first base either for the Rays or the Tigers. Not sure about when he had that little small stint in Chicago. I mean, like, really honestly, so you mentioned your poll. So I also did a poll on Facebook, and my numbers was almost completely opposite of your numbers. Like, I had more people saying that Walker will be the starting first baseman for opening day next season. So it's kind of like for the small sample size that we got, or pretty decent size, I mean, it's almost split, almost 50-50 down the middle. So, I mean, it's like, I want to kind of make a segue for maybe a future potential show. I mean, like, really depends on what are you trying to do with this team going forward. I mean, so I agree. I mean, like, I think that, and also too, like the scouting report on Walker too is that he was another one that worked the count. And we saw it. I want to say what the first televised game of spring training that we saw it, and we were just, I know we were messaging each other. We were like doing backflips. It was like, holy moly, like Walker and Paredes just saw 26 pitchers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, and we were like excited. And I mean, I really don't know what happened during the season as far as like, I mean, but he was that guy, like PK said, he would come up, bases loaded, 2 outs, and you would almost kind of be like, well, I know how this is going to end up. And, you know, it's just, do I think, I mean, the longer the season went on with Walker, and I'm not trying to crap on this guy. It's just the more like I would look up his stats, and the more I would just look at his last 3 years, and I would just see that batting average decline every single season. So last year, I believe he was what 250 something for Arizona.
238.
Yeah.
Oh,
250
for
No,
something,
not for
yeah.
the Astros. For Arizona, he was 250 something. The year before that, he was like 275. This last season, he was 230 something. So he's now got 3 seasons of data that's telling me that his batting average is dropping by at least 20 something points every single season. So I'm not saying that 2026 he's going to hit 209. What I'm saying is that he is getting older. You know, I mean, it's just I'd like to think, you know, hopefully with this new hitting regime, maybe they'll see something, they'll get it fixed. I mean, but like, I don't want to get too deep in the Paredes versus Christian Walker yet.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be a potential future show that we can do just centered around that. Because I feel like the way that our polls kind of like went, that it seems like a lot of the Houston fans are pretty much split 50-50. So, and I'll turn it over to Brawls because I know he wanted to get in on it.
Well, I mean, you know, this being an infield episode, I think third base isn't an argument. I think Correa is going to be there. I think shortstop's not an argument. You got Pena over there. You know, some people may say something about Altuve at second. Yeah, I mean, we might have a couple replacements over there, you know, just give him some time off or something like that, which I don't necessarily agree with, but, you know, that's what's going to happen. I think the biggest debate that we have, like we've been talking about, is first base. And, you know, after talking about Walker, one of the things that there may be a sabermetric out there for it. I don't know what it is, but it's clutch hitting. And, you know, like PK was even bringing up, it's like, you know, he's going to go 3 for 4, you know, with 2 RBIs in a game that we lost, you know, 10-2. And he's going to be the only one that gives any offense. Yeah. It's like, it's not like, hey, you know, it's a 5-5 game. All of a sudden, Christian Walker's up to bat. He's got a runner on second. And then we're like, oh, thank God he's up to bat because he's going to knock this guy in. It was almost like automatic that he was getting out on something like that. So I feel like he was feasting on kind of weak pitching and on weaker opponents when we didn't even necessarily need that offense that he was producing. So it's, and don't get me wrong, man, I really, really like Christian Walker, but at the same time, it's been so difficult, man, to try to just justify what he's been doing at the plate, especially after we look at the whole season in, you know, review or whatever. So I want to say his defense would make up for it. His defense did not make up for it. But as Chris mentioned, you know, we've got Isaac Paredes, who doesn't have a whole lot of experience at first base. And tell him, Wash, first base is easy, right?
It's not easy.
It's incredibly difficult.
Hard.
it's extremely hard. So anyway, point being is I don't know if Isaac Paredes can even play first. So until we see something in spring training, I don't know if that is a legitimate debate at this point, or if it's something that we need to like say, okay, this, you know, we gave this guy the contract. We gave him all the money he wanted. You know, it was a 3-year contract. Should we abandon this now, try to trade him and get somebody else? Or do we stick with him and say, hey, look, you know, this was his first year with the team. It just didn't work out the way that we wanted it to, and he's going to get better from there. But I don't know if Isaac Paredes playing first base is the plan. But to the point that we've talked about this entire, you know, podcast so far, we've got an extra infielder, and that's not even including Dubon. So where do we put him?
Look, I'm gonna
Well-
say the last thing about Walker, and then we're gonna move on to these other guys. He always had a really good tapered beard fade. Like always. It was always good.
Damn
Like it was
straight.
always
He was
always clean.
fantastic he was fantastic in Los Angeles too. So that's about one of the few times he did come through in the clutch when the game wasn't out of hand in garbage time. So, but yeah, I mean, so like I would like to I want to transition to some of the other guys because I feel like there are guys in the infield that kind of match up with our analysis of the guys in the outfield. You have some young talent down in Sugarland, just like in the outfield. So the question is, what are we doing with Bryce Matthews? Because now we're talking about we have literally 6 infielders deep right now. And I'm talking like outside of Dubon, like I said, I like Dubon as that Swiss Army knife off the bench. Get him a couple starts, maybe 2 starts every 5 games, and then just let him come in and be that Swiss Army guy. So I mean, like just like the outfield, like I said, you have guys down in Sugarland, and there's still guys down in Sugarland that a lot of people haven't even heard about. I know there's Luis Castillo down there, first baseman. He had a fantastic season down in Sugarland. You still have guys like, I mean, kind of. You still got Zach DeZenzo, who's an infielder, who they converted to an outfielder. But now you have guys like, Zach Cole and Jacob Melton in the outfield. So the question is, it's really kind of where you sit down and you're like, where does Bryce Matthews fit in this entire scheme of things? I mean, because I think Brendan Rodgers will be gone. I don't think we'll have to worry about Brendan Rodgers next season. So the only guy that I kind of see as the odd man out is Bryce Matthews. And again, I mean, like he had his, you want to talk about ups and downs. He had his ups and downs, but he looked good. He looked fantastic.
In Arizona, he looked like a freaking all-star.
Yeah. Yeah. When he struggled, he looked like a rookie, right? I mean, so what do we do with these younger guys that probably need some playing time? And this is, I think this is going to be another kind of somewhat segue into a future episode that we're probably going to do pretty soon. And it's what to do with this minor league system. Because
what is
you have guys that just
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, say what are we doing with Ramon Urias?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about him.
We haven't even
He's the guy
talked
we
about
just
that.
got over
Yeah.
from Baltimore.
Yeah.
He's
another.
guy.
Like 2 years on him.
He's another utility guy.
Yeah.
Another
So
utility
you've got
infielder.
2 utility guys, and then the 5 guys that we've mentioned. So really, you're 7 infielders deep, and then you get to Bryce Matthews. So
you're 7 infielders deep with like one position that's up for grabs. Not even up for grabs, because you have Altuve at second, right? We don't know what they're going to do with Altuve at second. If he's going to continue to play left or stay at second.
No.
Let's just say for conversation's sake, that second base is open, right? A platoon with Altuve and whoever. Okay, so third is locked with Correa, short's locked with Pena. Conversation's sake, Walker has first base locked. Okay. Now forget about Paredes at the moment. Right. So you have Bryce Matthews, Dubon, Urias, and Altuve. 4 guys for one position. Now I think Bryce is going to stay down. I don't think Bryce is going to come up. They shouldn't bring him up and take away playing time that the kid desperately needs down in AAA. And I say desperately. He just needs to play every day. It's the same argument that Chris usually brings up anytime we bring up a player from Sugarland is why bring these guys up to get 1 at bat in 3 days just to sit up here on the bench? Like keep them down or play them all the time, right? So I think Bryce has to stay down. But as far as you talk about depth, Urias, Dubon, Altuve, and then you said, Bryce down to Sugarland. So like you could do like Dubon would be the utility outfielder, and then Urias could be your utility infielder to give other guys days off.
Okay. I don't think Urias can play shortstop. That's why Dubon is so valuable, because he can play all 4 of the infield spots and he can play all 3 of the outfield spots. So
no, I agree.
And I guess my question would be, why is Paredes not in this conversation? Because if Paredes is not going to play first,
season,
and he's not going to play third, second base is his only opening. So the only way I think you could kind of make that happen would be Altuve and Jordan would be on some type of golly, can't think of the word, some type of platoon at DH where, like, depending on
A
where
day
they're
game
playing,
after a night
like
game. Right.
yeah,
Like
like if we're
Altuve
playing in
goes,
Boston, you could put Jordan in left field, something
Yeah.
with a short porch, and then. But I feel like you have to go address the outfield. Like you need to go get yourself another good outfielder. The problem is, again, it boils back to what do you do with these younger guys like Zach Cole? I think he deserves a longer look. I think Jacob Melton deserves a longer look. I think Bryce Matthew deserves a really good look. I mean, he didn't come up and look terrible, but there's just no room for these
There's nowhere
players,
to put
these
him.
guys
There's
to
nowhere
play.
to put him. Give him the look, but there's nowhere to put him.
Well,
go ahead, Bros.
Think about it this way. We've got a good problem, right? So a good problem to have is that we've got too much talent and we don't know where to put it. So if I'm sitting here and I'm Dana Brown, what I'm thinking immediately is that, okay, so where is our problem right now? And I would say just from the injuries that we had this last season, one, you definitely want to keep some of these guys that we're talking about. Keep them back, dude, because we're going to need Bryce Matthews. We're going to need these guys coming up after injuries, pop up. But I think the biggest problem we had, honestly, was our pitching staff. I mean, we had plenty of guys in the infield. Our pitching staff, how many times do we get on here on this podcast and I'm like, oh, hey, guess what? Our favorite player today is going up this weekend, TBD. Okay, get some starting pitching. So trade some of this, wealth of talent that we have in the infield. And don't get me wrong, I love all these guys. But at the same time, we've got to actually build a well-rounded staff all the way around. We've got outfielders, I think, at this point. Just like Chris was saying, we've got a lot of young talent like Zach Cole and all these guys that can actually play out there. What we don't have is a pitching staff that we can count on for an entire week. And I'm saying the starting pitching staff, and I'm talking about the bullpen too. So take what we've got, trade it, and get us to where we can actually compete on a day-to-day basis and don't have to worry about a problem of one particular spot as opposed to another. So that was my biggest takeaway from all that.
Yeah, I mean, but starting pitching is so expensive. And here's my question. So
you're not wrong on
here's
that.
my rebuttal. Here's my rebuttal to that. Did we not learn this season how important it is to have a pretty deep AAA minor league system? Because we don't get within a game of making the playoffs with 77 injuries if we don't have guys coming up from Sugarland. So, and again, hold on to that thought. I don't want to hear anything else because I feel like this is going to be a future episode where we decide.
No, it has to be.
We're gonna talk.
Because we're already up against it, right? And so we're just getting into the whole thing. So let's touch on a few things related, a little bit deeper. We can talk about Jeremy Pena, right? The dude, look, Bryles sent us the war, all of our infielders, I guess final war. Pena was a 5.6. And for most of the season, the only person better than him was Aaron Judge. Like for the most of the season, if not all season.
Dude, he's vastly, vastly underrated. Like even I talked to a buddy of mine who's a big Seattle fan. And he brings up, who did he bring up? He brought up Bichette and he brought up Witt because, Pena is a finalist for the Silver Slugger. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, yeah, man, those guys are fantastic. But, man, I'm like, I don't know why Jeremy Pena is third fiddle to those other guys.
But
the
season that he had this past season
up there was amazing. No, I thought he was even you could talk about Jacob Wilson, but I think he was the best shortstop in the American League last season or this past season. Hands down, and he should win the Silver Slugger.
Yeah,
no, I'm not going to argue that by any means. He should have been an MVP candidate after we saw the stats for the first 3 months, and I know he kind of tapered off after that. But dude, the fact that he's not in the top 3, at least in the American League, I totally agree. You should not sleep on Pena.
I mean, and I know these guys don't look at where they started in batting orders and everything, but the dude started like down in the order, right? Down in the order.
With the 7 hole?
Yeah, 7, 8 hole. And then you move him to the top and he takes off and he sets the table every time he was up.
He got hurt, came back and went, 5 for 5? That first game he came back right after the trade deadline, wasn't it? I mean, come on, like, put some respect on the man's name. I mean, like, the guy has made hellaciously amazing adjustments at the plate. I mean, we talked about it last season in 2024. The easy way to get Pena out, get 2 strikes, and throw him a slider down and away.
Yeah. And
he has laid off those pitches. He is a completely different hitter this past season. And I believe, like I said, he should win the Silver Slugger.
Yeah, no, it was so good to watch him just set the table every time he came up. And look, even his little little choppers on the infield you still got to make those plays on him because he's a freaking cheetah. He can beat those out every time. Right? So all right, man, look. I told y'all the Infield episode was going to be way too short for what we want to talk about. So we're going to have to break this up. We're going to take a couple things from this episode and we're going to make its own episode about it. So we'll talk about it and see which one's going to come out. We're going to be back on Thursday, as always. Right? Hope you guys, enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're up to 105 subscribers, so thank every single one of y'all that have subscribed to us on YouTube.
Thank you.
Continue to help us get more subscribers. Man, tell your friends, tell the fam. But until then, I'm PK. That's Chris. That's Bryles. We'll see y'all on Thursday. This is the Juicebox Heroes.
Welcome,
baby.
Ooh. Man, I could talk about this for like another 4 hours.
Man, for a minute.
I know, me too, man.
Minute, dude.